I've got a civil servant here for you today called Matthew Costello. Now, he's another one of these faceless bureaucrats that costs you a lot of money. And in fact, his official role is head of carbon pricing for Her Majesty's Treasury. And I've got a short video here of Matthew explaining to his European counterparts precisely why the cost of goods that we bring in from outside of the United Kingdom is going to be rising sharply in price from the start of 2027.
So as I say, so the 1st of January 2027 we'll be implementing this. It'll place a carbon price on some of our most highly traded carbon intensive sectors. These are the similar sectors to the ones that Maria just mentioned, with the notable exception of electricity, which we do not deem to be a carbon leakage risk in the UK. So the other sort of important difference, I think, between the UK and the EU CBAM is that our CBAM is being implemented as a tax, and so our delivery authority, our delivery regulator, is not the Environment Agency, it's HM Revenue and Customs. This is, again, partly for simplicity purposes. The UK has quite an interesting devolution settlement, which I don't propose to get into here, whereas implementing it as a tax means that we can move maybe slightly faster and be a bit more dynamic in responding to that. We also think it's better, more consistent experience for our stakeholders and businesses, and matches our capacity to deliver that on this timescale. But that does obviously create slight differences between the way that the UK and the EU are going to deliver this. So we've confirmed a lot of the policy decisions around this, which I'll go through in a second, and the consultation on the legislation is open. So if anyone has any thoughts on the way that we have operationalised those decisions, please do let us know. So how does the UK CBAM work? So you may know that the EU CBAM is a certificate-based system where you need to demonstrate, or importers need to demonstrate that they hold enough certificates at the point of import to discharge their liabilities. As ours is a tax, it operates slightly differently, but again, it's aiming to achieve the same end. So we're trying to measure both the emissions, the embodied emissions in the import, multiplied by whatever the CBAM rate is. So this will be set on the basis of the UK ETS price over the preceding quarter. But then we do offer a discount for any carbon price that's been paid in the jurisdiction of origin. Again, very similar to the way that Luca described the EU CBAM this morning. So it operates as a tax behind the border, which is obviously helpful on the island of Ireland, and that's the sort of the key differences between this and the EU CBAM.
Now, if you're anything like me, when you're watching people deliver those types of talks, you just really end up shaking your head and wondering exactly what we're doing to ourselves, because behind the scenes you've got faceless bureaucrats like this person here being paid extortionate amounts of money. I mean, you'll be on a hefty salary, this man. I would imagine you'll be on a hefty pension as well, and I would imagine most of his team will be on the same. And he was giving that little talk to a group of EU carbon legislators earlier this year. The consultation period is now closed, incidentally. So this has all been agreed and all been signed off by everyone, including our own government. Now you can go online, and upon saying that, I suppose I will put a link in the description to this video if you wanted to have a look at it. But in essence, I think you have to agree with me that it reads the same to most people. What this equals is more bills, higher cost of goods and services. And as it says in number 1 here, what is carbon leakage? And the UK is taking rapid action on industrial decarbonisation to meet net zero. Now, as this man is giving his little speech, and he was talking to his EU counterparts, and they were sharing, the little jokes about, devolution and Brexit, of course, because Brexit didn't work, and that was obviously the fault of UKIP, not the fault of people like this man, these faceless bureaucrats who behind the scenes come up with this regulatory rubbish. And all around the EU, in fact, they're coming up with the same regulatory stuff as well. But I wanted to draw your attention to one point, and it's this. This push for net zero all around Europe, including the United Kingdom, is killing all of the economies around Europe. Not only is Germany in deep, deep financial trouble, and France as well, and the UK and a load of other countries around Europe in a lot of financial trouble, we are in the process of bankrupting ourselves over a net zero target that is completely unattainable until new technology is developed. We don't know what, or we don't know when, or we don't know what it is. And so we have no clue what that new invention's going to be. At some point, some genius is going to invent something that's going to reduce the carbon that we throw out for whatever reason. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, you tell me. I no longer know. I'm not an expert on climate change or net zero or carbon. But what I can say is that this is bankrupting Europe. And I have one data point which I'm going to draw your attention to, and it's this. What you're looking at here is the top 10 companies in the world. And you'll see there what they are. Nvidia, number 1, Microsoft, number 2, Apple, number 3, etc. And you'll see the market cap or the total value of the company in trillions on the very right. But the important thing is to look at where they're based. And so, as you'll see, the United States has a very, very vibrant and dynamic economy because they're not really too concerned with net zero. Now, Trump has come back in and they're pushing forward, and they've always been pushing forward. And in fact, here's the next 10. So this is number 11 to number 20, and I think you're noticing a pattern here. Now, if we're going further out, what you're going to see at some point, there is a European country does come into it at number 27. Now, the chart that you're now looking at is the industrial electricity prices for industry for the whole of 2024. Now, if you go right to the bottom, you'll see that pence per kilowatt as the unit of cost for electricity is the highest in the United Kingdom. So this can give you a kind of a bird's eye view of why there's very few businesses want to come to the United Kingdom. Any link or any use of energy within the business, it's not attractive. And it's not attractive anyway because we have an economy, and generally energy prices follow the economy. But you'll see here when you look at the United Kingdom at the bottom there, what Mr. Miliband is doing to us. And then if we go even further to that, and what we're looking at now is the domestic energy prices, the prices that you and I will pay for energy. And as you see there, the cheapest domestic energy prices is in Turkey, because in Turkey they don't really care about anything related to net zero. They just do what's necessary for the populace because they won't stand for it, as is Canada, United States and all the rest of it. But look at the bottom there, we've got Germany, the United Kingdom not far behind, Italy, Denmark, Ireland. Do you see what Europe is doing to itself with this over-regulation and this obsession with net zero, when really the amount of carbon that we take out of the atmosphere every year, multiples of that are put back into the atmosphere every year by China and India and other countries around the world. And when you look at these graphs and you look at these charts, and then I'm going to draw your attention to this. And so, is it any wonder that you look at this and you see that rich people are now leaving the United Kingdom in droves? And this is a source from New World Wealth, and they're telling you that people are flocking to the United Arab Emirates because the taxes are extremely low and they're not really concerned with a lot of this regulatory stuff. Then the United States, and then a few countries round Europe. But look at the bottom there. there are millionaires and billionaires leaving this country at a rate of knots. This week, the founder of Revolut, a very, very successful person, billionaire, a man who pays millions of pounds every year in taxes, has decided to leave the United Kingdom and move to the United Arab Emirates. And when you look at this, he's just following the trend. And what they're following, these people: low taxes, luxury lifestyle, and economic openness, meaning come and start your business, we'll look after you. We're not going to tax you, through the floor. We want you to come to our country. We're an open country. We know what we're going to be doing. Our taxes are going to be like this going forward. And look at our country. Rachel Reeves and her treasury pumping out different messages every 5 minutes. Oh, we might be doing this. Oh, we might be doing that. Oh, we might be putting up your income tax. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. But we might be doing this. It's destroying confidence in all business. The business energy costs are through the roof. The regulations are through the roof. And all of these people, these bureaucrats, like the first gentleman that I showed you there, are destroying business confidence in the United Kingdom. And this is just a few data points that I picked up very quickly from looking around the internet. But it should make us all worried, because the people in charge of our economies, not just in the United Kingdom, but all around Europe, have been captured by an ideology, and they are running all of our economies off a cliff. But they're also going to destroy us demographically, and it's not even going to look like Europe anyway. And I think over the last 50 years, most of the European leaders have conspired to destroy this once great continent through a mixture of socialism and ideology. And, I think they've got a lot to answer for. Thanks very much for your time.